All right, it's the last week in April 2025. I'm not sure exactly when this video is going to come out, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my 2009 Yamaha R6 today. Yeah, it's been just about exactly 1 year since I bought this bike. I've absolutely loved it, and I'm going to talk more about why, but let's hop on so I'm not late to work. Oh, it's a little chilly. Oh man, I didn't check the exact temperature. When I was looking yesterday, it should have been around 50 this morning, which, I don't know, in my head 50 is like nice and warm, nice and toasty after the winter we've had. That scared me a little. All right. So while we're filling up with gas, I guess I could talk about the fuel economy of this bike. If I remember off the top of my head, this bike usually gets somewhere around like 29 to 31 miles per gallon, which would be excellent in car terms. For motorcycles, it's not great, but if you consider that the tachometer revs all the way out to 16,500 RPM, which I could show you a video of now. Then I think you could understand that as a sport bike, it's not really designed for the most efficiency ever. But like I said, I mean, in car terms, it's not bad. Let's just get one more look at this bike. Ah, man, do I love this bike. So most of the modifications on this bike were made before I bought it. You can see it has a full Yoshimura exhaust system. It's hard to see the whole thing, but yeah, we got headers all the way to the exhaust there. The fairing kit is aftermarket. One thing I don't like so much is that it says M1 on the side. I'm proud of this thing being an R6. Yeah, I'd rather that it said R6 on the side. What else was I gonna say? Oop, my bad. You're good. So some other modifications you can see are these the grips, the bar sliders, etc. I guess if you're really just interested in seeing all the modifications on the bike, you could watch my yapping about my 2009 Yamaha R6 video. Anyway, talking a little more about the specs of the bike. It weighs somewhere between like 415 to 430 pounds, somewhere in there. It makes about 129 horsepower stock. The 2009 Yamaha R6 is actually the most powerful and is considered one of the best model years of the R6. I don't really have a lot of reference. I've only ridden this R6. I've never ridden any other ones. But I can say between it being what is generally considered to be one of the best model years, well, probably the best model year, between that and the spectacular modifications that I'm very appreciative that the previous owner had bought, including, like I said, the exhaust helps. It's got a Power Commander 5, so it's got essentially like a flash tune, a different tune, and that corresponds with the exhaust, and it's got a K&N air filter, so all that should in theory free up a little bit of the power. So I would assume that this bike would be making somewhere in the 130s at least, which for a 600cc bike is very commendable. If you consider, for example, an R1 from around when I was born, like 2001, maybe somewhere around 2001. I think at that time the R1 was making somewhere between like the high 140s to the low 150s. So this bike in slower speed acceleration would be comparable to a Yamaha R1, but I'm not going to say that it's faster than an R1, especially because once you get up to the top end, depending on rider weight and how long of a road you have in a straight line, in theory this bike should get up to somewhere between like 160 to possibly up to 165 on paper, although that's a little questionable. But undoubtedly it is a quick bike. A lot of people will say it's a terrible bike to ride on the street. I agree that I would rather be on a racetrack right now. I don't know. I really enjoy this bike on the street. It does tempt me to go above the speed limit all the time. Usually, I can fight those demons off a little. Who am I kidding? It can be a little bit difficult to convince myself to go under the speed limit, especially on highways and when you have big straights. So if you have low self-control, maybe not so much the bike for you. I guess I should talk a little about my point of reference. So when I bought this bike, my previous bike, my first bike, was a, what year was it? I think, it was a 1985 Honda Rebel 250. So a huge jump from that to this. I think the Honda Rebel made 7 horsepower, single digits, 7. So from 7 to like somewhere in the 130s is, you know, it's a big jump. The Rebel also weighed somewhere around like, I don't know, 280 pounds or maybe 300 and some. So this is, I know it's over 100 pounds heavier. Seating position, totally different. This is one of the things I was going to mention. So people say that this is a bad street bike, not just because you can't put all the power down on the street legally. The seating position is totally different on this bike than it is on most bikes. So, I mean, obviously if you have like a cruiser, like a Harley, your feet are gonna be put out forward in front of you, your arms are gonna be outstretched in front of you, and the seating position is just gonna be totally comfortable. This bike, as you can see, I'm kind of hunched over, well, very hunched over the bike. This is the most aggressive 600cc seat position, and I believe it's Yamaha's most aggressive seating position. So some things that will cause discomfort are just being hunched over. A lot of people talk about like back pain. I don't really experience any back pain. My biggest thing is, especially when I bought the bike, my wrists were just really bothering me. Now, technically, well, in theory, if your wrists are hurting, it's because you're not sitting properly. So what I should be doing more, and what I've been learning to do, is squeeze the tank with your knees, and then with your wrists, you let me get past this car and then I can think properly again. So like I was saying, you should grip your tank with your knees, and then you know, use your core to hold your body up. You should not be putting your entire weight on your handlebars. So like right now, for example, like, I don't know, my core is holding me up. I'm not holding myself up with the handlebars. If you do hold yourself up with the handlebars, first of all, you don't want to be like leaning down on the throttle, because you're going to be applying throttle if you're leaning down on it. But also it's more likely to cause like speed wobble or something like that, because you shouldn't be, you know, putting all that weird weight on the left side or the right side of the bike, and etc. So you should be holding yourself up with your core. Easier said than done, especially if you have a really long commute or a really long ride. It can be kind of hard to hold yourself up like that. But like I said, it really doesn't bother me, especially after the first, you know, couple months of ownership, when I learned how to hold myself up better, and you know, after I adjusted my seating position, it really hasn't been as bad. Talking about bike maintenance, the biggest thing for my bike maintenance costs were just my tires. So I wanted to get nice tires that were going to last a while, and I knew that I was going to be putting on a lot of road miles. So what I went with were Michelin Pilot Road 5s. Those are extremely long-lasting tires for a sport bike is, you know, one of the best sport bike tires you can get if you're worried about longevity. They still feel spectacular. I have not had any issue with traction or anything like that. But of course, I'm not Valentino Rossi or Marc Marquez or even Alex Marquez. Yeah, I'm just your average Joe. All right. I just love this bike, though. I tell you what. Oh, and one of the other reasons, I know I've mentioned a lot of reasons that people say that it's not a bike for the streets, is with this tachometer going up to 16,500 RPM, you really don't get much power until around 8 to 10,000 RPM. Let me see what's going on here. But yeah, so you really won't find much power. Like if this full throttle right there, you can see it takes a second. Also, if you're on a leader bike, don't do that because you'll wheelie and then whiskey throttle. But anyway, just wanted to show you. Yeah, like I said, that was full throttle. Now I can compare that high RPM. So that's a comparison. Hopefully you guys could tell that at high RPMs it doesn't take as long to you know, travel through the tachometer. For some other maintenance, I just took the bike to the shop. The maintenance interval for the valves, to check the valves, is every 26,000 miles. I took the bike a little bit early to the shop because I know I'm going to be riding a lot this summer. I didn't want to give up the bike in the middle of the summer. So I'm at about 23,000 miles. I had the mechanic check the valves. They said they're all good. There was one that was a little close to the tolerance level, but for the most part, he said, you know, that wasn't an issue at all. And he said, if it didn't move by now, he said it's probably not going to be an issue at all. He said if it were him, he wouldn't even bother checking the valves again unless he felt some sort of tick-in or some other issue. I probably wheel around like 50,000 miles. That's just the way I am. Other maintenance, I had, you know, obviously a couple of oil changes, things like that. In the last year, I think I put somewhere around 4,000, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 miles. I'm not sure exactly. Every one of those I was smiling. Maybe not exactly, but yeah, I've had this out in Wisconsin. I live in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I don't know. I've had it around. Took it out to Iowa one time from Wisconsin. I've seriously, genuinely enjoyed this bike a lot. And even though, you know, in theory, it's really not designed for street use. Maybe I should get like a naked bike or you know, something other than a full fairing sport bike for daily commute and whatnot. I still don't have any issue. I mean, I'm out here, got my book bag on, going to work, and I'm having fun. But yeah, this is not what the bike was necessarily designed for. That tune does sound really good, and the exhaust as well. So when I let off the throttle, there are a couple of pops and bangs, but it's not a crackle tune or anything like that. But especially as the bike warms up, you can tell sometimes the power commander does like to send a little extra fuel through the system that isn't really necessary for efficiency purposes. But sometimes those little pops can be a lot of fun. If you have any questions for me about my experience owning this bike, I try to respond to most YouTube comments. At this time, also, I have like 714 subscribers, so it's better than I had before. Although really hoping for 1,000 at some point in the relatively near future. I would love to sneak through there right now because I'm going right, and I could do it, but it would not be very nice. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah, that's one thing I really wish Pennsylvania had legalized lane filtering. Maybe not lane splitting, but filtering would be great. Also, a side note, I have not been in any accidents. I know my mom watches these YouTube videos, and I don't think she's a big fan of when I talk about accidents and whatnot. I don't know. I have other videos, and actually, what the heck? Brother. All right. Anyway, yeah, I have other videos where I've talked a little more in detail about how to be safe on a motorcycle and what factors can limit risk for you. I don't know. Not sure what else I should mention. Absolutely loving this bike right now. Maybe I'll wrap it up here, but I don't know. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, I think I'll own this bike for a long time. I love it, man. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Yappin' and Cruisin'. Really living up to the channel title there. Anyway, have a fantastic day. Enjoy your life and stay safe.